I want you to take a moment and genuinely think back to your own school days.
Oh, yes, the wooden desks.
Exactly. Picture yourself sitting at that rigid wooden desk, staring up at the chalkboard. Maybe you were trying to memorize logarithmic tables or the exact dates of historical battles without any real context.
Right.
Did those years actually prepare you for the beautiful, messy, highly unpredictable complexities of real life? Or did they just, to train you to pass a few exams and recite a string of facts that, let's be honest, you've completely forgotten by now?
It's a very familiar feeling for so many of us, isn't it? We spent years being processed through a system that prioritized compliance over curiosity.
Absolutely. Welcome to today's comprehensive analysis. We are genuinely thrilled you have pulled up a chair to join us today, because the stack of sources we are unpacking is, it's nothing short of fascinating.
It really is.
We have got insights from Harvard professors, data from the CEO of an Indian university, discussions from Nobel laureates, and a deep look back into ancient Indian educational texts.
A fantastic mix.
Our mission for you today is to explore the technological frontier of our classrooms, contrast it with some incredibly profound ancient wisdom, and figure out how to blend the two. We want to help you make lifelong learning a seamless daily habit.
Because the reality is, the world around us is changing at a blistering pace. Understanding how we learn and how to adapt is becoming far more critical than simply memorizing what to learn.
Right.
The old models are breaking down, and the data we are looking at today illustrates that beautifully.
Let's start right there, actually, with what our sources are calling the broken factory of modern education.
Yeah.
There's a narrative we have all been sold: go to school, get a college degree, and your future is secure.
Yes, the standard promise.
But I was looking at the International Labor Organization report on India that was highlighted in our sources, and the numbers seem to completely contradict that narrative.
They do. It is quite a shocking paradox, honestly. Sahil Aggarwal, the CEO of Rishi Hood University, breaks down these figures, and they are incredibly telling.
Right.
If you look at completely uneducated people in India, the unemployment rate is around 3%.
Just 3%.
Yes. For those who finish basic schooling, it climbs to 15%. But for college graduates, the unemployment rate skyrockets to 29%.
Wait, take a step back. You're saying that the more educated a person gets in the current system, the more likely they are to be unemployed.
That is exactly what the data shows.
How does that even make sense?
It sounds counterintuitive until you look at the mismatch of skills. Aggarwal calls it a massive national wastage of talent.
A wastage, yes.
Our institutions are churning out graduates who feel overqualified for foundational jobs, but they are completely under-equipped with the practical, critical thinking skills required for the modern, dynamic economy. The economist Steve Levitt frames this perfectly.
Oh, yes, I remember this part.
He points out that our global education system relies almost entirely on just-in-case learning.
Meaning, we force a teenager to memorize advanced calculus or the intricate structural details of a Shakespearean sonnet just in case they happen to need it in a boardroom 20 years from now.
Precisely. We front-load all this theoretical knowledge, but what the modern world actually demands is just-in-time learning.
Just in time.
Yes, that's the agility to encounter a completely novel problem in your workday, know exactly how to source the right information, synthesize it, and apply a solution right then and there.
And that rigid just-in-case structure, it isn't an accident. During the Nobel Prize dialogue featured in our notes, several global educators pointed out that our modern schools are essentially suffering from an industrial hangover.
An industrial hangover, yes. They are modeled after 18th century factories.
Think about it, the bells ringing to signal the start and end of a period, sitting in straight rows, moving down an assembly line of grades.
Exactly.
The whole system was designed to manage massive numbers of people and prepare them for factory shift work.
It sorts them by age, it ranks them by standard deviations, and it processes them like commercial products. The danger here is that this creates immense psychological stress and completely strips away the human heart of education.
Absolutely.
And it is not just a developing world problem. Look at countries like Singapore or Estonia, which consistently top the global PISA scores, those international academic rankings.
They do exceptionally well on paper.
They do, but they achieve those top marks through intense, grueling academic focus. Even those nations are currently grappling with a crisis of well-being. They are realizing that a factory model might create a high-scoring test taker, but it forgets how to nurture a resilient, emotionally grounded human being.
Which brings us to a massive disruption that is sitting right at our doorstep, ready to dismantle that factory. let's pivot to the future classrooms. Generative AI is obviously the elephant in the room.
Undoubtedly.
But Professor Farhad Anand, who oversees teaching and learning at Harvard University, makes a point that shifted my entire perspective. He argues the real revolution of tools like ChatGPT isn't just that the algorithms suddenly got vastly smarter, it is actually a revolution of access.
Yes, the democratization of the interface. If we trace the history of computing, it started with punch cards.
Oh, the old mainframes.
Exactly, complex ones and zeros that only a handful of elite engineers could decipher. Then we moved to DOS prompts, which still required specialized knowledge. But Professor N compares this current AI moment to the massive shift from DOS to the Windows graphical interface.
I remember that transition clearly. Suddenly you didn't need to type code to open a file. A 7-year-old child could just grab a mouse and double-click an icon.
Exactly. Functionally, the machine's processing power hadn't experienced a miraculous overnight leap, but the barrier to entry vanished. Today, generative AI allows absolutely anyone, anywhere to interact with highly complex global intelligence using simple conversational language. You just talk to it.
But here is the pushback you hear everywhere AI hallucinates. It confidently makes things up. How can we possibly integrate a tool into our schools if it might teach a student that the capital of France is Berlin?
It is a valid fear, but Professor Anand offers a brilliant framework to navigate this rather than just panicking. He uses a 2x2 matrix based on the cost of errors.
Break that down for us. What are the two axes we're looking at?
On one axis, you have the probability or frequency of a task. How often does this question or problem come up? On the other axis, you have the cost of making an error. Now, instead of demanding that AI be 100% infallible before we use it, we should look at the low-cost quadrants.
Give me an example of a low-cost error.
So if a prospective student asks a university chatbot, where is the syllabus posted or when is the library closed, the cost of the AI getting that wrong is incredibly low. A minor inconvenience, nothing more.
Right. No real harm is done. So in those areas, we should rapidly deploy AI to automate the mundane.
Yes. We let the machines handle the high-volume, low-stakes, repetitive tasks. This frees up human teachers and administrators to reserve their energy for the quadrant where the cost of an error is catastrophically high.
Like discipline or safety.
Exactly. An AI should never be making nuanced disciplinary decisions about a student's behavior, just like an AI shouldn't be fully trusted to design the final safety mechanisms of a commercial aircraft without human oversight.
That makes a lot of sense. And it frees up the educator to actually educate. He shared a staggering experiment from a physical sciences course at Harvard to back this up.
Oh, this is fascinating.
The instructors ran a test where half the students were assigned highly trained elite human tutors, and the other half were given a specialized AI bot tutor. They swapped them out every week. You would assume the students with the elite Harvard humans performed better, right?
You would certainly assume so, yes.
But the data showed the exact opposite. The students guided by the AI actually scored higher on their mastery tests. And even more surprisingly, their self-reported engagement levels were higher with the AI than with the humans.
And if you think about the psychology behind that, it makes perfect sense. An AI does not judge you.
It doesn't get frustrated.
Precisely. A student might feel deeply embarrassed to ask an esteemed professor to explain a basic concept for the 5th time, but they will happily ask a chatbot to explain it like they are a 5-year-old, over and over again until it clicks.
It totally shifts the classroom dynamic, and we're seeing this technological push far beyond just text chatbots. Indian classrooms are rapidly experimenting with integrating virtual reality and profound data analytics.
Moving away from the dusty textbooks?
Exactly. Instead of rote memorizing the topography of the Himalayas or the internal components of a combustion engine, a student can put on a VR headset and practically manipulate those objects in 3 dimensions.
And the data analytics piece is arguably even more transformative for the Indian cultural context. Historically, there has been immense societal pressure here to push students strictly into engineering or medicine, regardless of their actual aptitude.
We all know that pressure.
Yes, but schools are now looking at mechanisms to track a student's genuine hobbies, their engagement metrics, and their confidence levels across various subjects over time. It provides a data-driven foundation for highly personalized career counseling, guiding a child toward what actually fits their unique psychological profile.
So, playing devil's advocate for a moment here. Does this mean technology just solves the broken factory problem? We give every student a VR headset and a ChatGPT account, and suddenly we have a utopian leveled playing field.
I would strongly caution against viewing this through rose-tinted glasses. In fact, technology often does the exact opposite if we aren't careful. Professor Ann calls this the paradox of access.
The paradox of access.
Yes. We naturally assume that handing everyone a smart chatbot democratizes intelligence. But to interact effectively with an AI, to know how to engineer the right prompts, to challenge its assumptions, and to recognize when it is giving you a shallow answer, you already need a significant level of domain expertise.
So if you do not already understand the fundamentals of a subject, it is just garbage in, garbage out. You will not even know what questions to ask the bot.
Exactly. And we have historical data to prove that access does not equal education. Think back to the MOOC revolution about a decade ago. Massive open online courses.
Right, platforms like edX.
Yes. edX, created by Harvard and MIT, put around 3,000 of their premium courses online completely for free.
I remember that. It was heralded as the end of traditional universities.
It was. 35 million learners from around the globe signed up. It sounded like the ultimate leveling of the educational playing field. But do you know what the actual completion rate was?
I imagine it was low.
It's less than 5%. And here is the truly sobering statistic of that tiny fraction of people who actually finished those free courses. 75% already had college degrees.
Wow. So the educated, privileged class just got richer in knowledge.
Because those individuals already possess the foundational framework to absorb the material, and more importantly, they possess the intrinsic motivation and discipline required to sit alone in a room and learn. Technology can deliver the lecture, but it absolutely cannot manufacture the willpower required to digest it.
And that leads right into a massive risk. Our sources identify lazy learning. Professor Anand noted that we are seeing students use AI to summarize their weekly case studies, meaning they never actually grapple with the source text. Meanwhile, overwhelmed teachers are using AI to generate their lesson plans and to grade those very same student papers.
It creates a terrifying feedback loop. An AI is writing the essay, and another AI is grading the essay.
Machines talking to machines.
The machines are just talking to the machines, and the human being is entirely removed from the intellectual struggle where actual growth happens.
Plus, we cannot ignore the physical realities on the ground. As our sources point out regarding the Indian education infrastructure, basic utilities are still a massive hurdle. Bringing in sophisticated VR headsets is putting the cart miles before the horse when nearly half the population still struggles with consistent internet access or reliable electricity.
So if technology fails to provide that intrinsic motivation, and if we still face these vast infrastructure divides, what is the missing ingredient? How do we build that unshakable character and resilience in a student?
Right.
This is where our sources suggest a profound realization. To navigate this highly technological future, we actually need to look backward. We need to look at ancient wisdom.
I absolutely love this pivot in our exploration. Because thousands of years before the factory model of the 1700s, India hosted the world's very first universities, massive centers of learning like Takshashila and Nalanda.
Truly monumental institutions.
And in the ancient Gurukul system, education was never just about reading text or passing a standardized test.
Not at all. It was an immersive, holistic way of life. Students from all backgrounds, whether they were royalty or commoners, lived together like mendicants. They had to perform their own daily chores, fetch their own water, and learn how to survive in difficult, austere situations. The primary overriding goal wasn't just knowledge acquisition, it was the forging of character.
And it is fascinating to see how modern institutions are trying to revive that exact spirit today. Going back to Sahil Agarwal at Rishihood University, they have structured their entire curriculum around 3 core pillars: professional success, personal satisfaction, and public impact. And to build that deep personal resilience, they do something wild. They literally make their students walk 100 kilometers.
Yes, 50 kilometers on the first day and another 50 kilometers the very next day.
I mean, that sounds brutal, but it isn't just some quirky team-building exercise. When you face an extreme physical challenge like that, around kilometer 70, your legs are giving out, your blisters are screaming, and your mind is desperately begging you to quit. Overcoming that immense, agonizing hurdle forces a psychological breakthrough.
It completely reframes your limits.
Exactly. The logic is, if you can conquer your own mind to walk 100 kilometers, you can absolutely handle the stress of your startup failing, or a toxic boss, or a complex project collapsing at work.
It rewires the brain's relationship with adversity, and they pair this physical resilience with an internal spiritual grounding. They mandate a self and society course in the first year, which is deeply rooted in the principles of yoga, meditation, and understanding the self. this internal focus becomes exponentially more critical as we enter the age of AI.
How so? Connect that for us.
Professor B.J. Rao, the Vice Chancellor at the University of Hyderabad, articulates this beautifully in our sources. He points out that as silicon-based algorithms and humanoid robots increasingly take over our external mundane tasks, the coding, the logistics, the mathematics, human beings will be forced to embark on a much deeper inner journey. He references the ancient Indian philosophical concept of drashta.
Drashta, which translates to the witness, right?
Exactly. It is the profound realization that you are not merely the doer of your actions, caught up in the frantic rat race of productivity, but you are the silent, steady observer of your life.
Beautiful.
He pairs this with the uniquely Indian emotion of bhakti, or deep devotion. Professor Rao's argument is that if AI is handling the cold logic, humans must lean heavily into what makes us fundamentally human. We must become more spiritual, more deeply creative, and more emotionally grounded.
Which means the role of a human teacher has to completely transform. If the chatbot is the one giving us the facts and grading the math problems, the human in the front of the room cannot just be an information dispenser anymore.
Exactly. They have to evolve.
During the Nobel Prize dialogue, a chemistry teacher named Anand Choi summed this up perfectly. She said, "A teacher's job today is to be a cheerleader, a mentor, a guide. Their real job is to create a psychologically safe space for a student to experiment, to fail miserably, to build their confidence back up, and ultimately to bloom at their own unique pace."
And that brings us to arguably the most vital takeaway for you listening to us right now. Education is no longer a defined phase of life that you pack up and finish in your early 20s. Professor Rao states very clearly that learning is fundamentally a do-it-yourself exercise.
A do-it-yourself exercise.
Yes. A truly great teacher only creates the hunger in you. They cannot eat the meal for you. You have to take agency over your own mind.
It is so true. It's time for all of us to make education a seamless part of our everyday lives. Lifelong learning isn't just a buzzword. It is a survival skill in this economy. You have to stay constantly connected to grasp new knowledge.
Absolutely.
And honestly, we want to encourage you to listen to podcasts more and more. Audio conversations, explorations like this one are a brilliant way to make complex, intimidating ideas accessible. You can engage your mind continuously while you commute, while you cook, or while you're at the gym. It is the perfect modern tool for lifelong learning.
But I have to offer a crucial caveat here. Simply grasping knowledge, simply listening to hours of audio is not enough. You must actively digest that knowledge and consciously implement it into your day-to-day life. If you consume a library's worth of information but never apply it to your daily work, your personal relationships, or your emotional growth, it is entirely useless. It is just intellectual entertainment. True growth only happens through the messy, difficult work of application.
Such a vital point. So, as we wrap up this in-depth exploration, let's look at the incredible ground we have covered today. We started by dismantling the broken industrial-era factory of our modern schooling system. We navigated the cutting edge of AI chatbots and VR, exploring the matrix of automating the mundane while acknowledging the very real dangers of lazy learning and the digital divide.
It has been quite the journey.
And finally, we traveled back to the ancient Gurukuls, uncovering the concepts of extreme resilience and the silent witness, Drashta, to find the character we need to survive the future.
It has been a truly remarkable conversation, and I want to leave you with the final provocative thought to mull over, inspired by Professor Rao's insights.
Please do.
For thousands upon thousands of years, human beings have been the sole authors of our civilization's narrative. Our ecstasies, our historical agonies, our triumphs, they have all been told by humans.
Great.
Very soon, AI algorithms will be generating our stories, writing our scripts, and instructing us 24/7. When that day fully arrives, what is the unique, creative, and deeply human spark inside of you that a machine could never possibly replicate?
What a profound question to carry with us into the week. Thank you so much for pulling up a chair and being a part of this conversation today. Keep exploring, keep listening, and most importantly, remember to digest and implement what you learn into your everyday life. Until next time.